And today I have the great pleasure of bringing you Mr. Patrick Precourt, who, we've been actually at a mastermind together for a couple of years now, maybe longer than that. We've been passing each other around through multiple real estate events that are taking place in the country. And every time I go to an event, he's actually on stage delivering value. And I've actually seen you twice, probably, Patrick. And I made it a point to where I wanted to connect with you, but not only at a personal level. I wanted my audience in the Real Estate Entrepreneur podcast to connect with you as well, because of the value that you bring and the stuff that you focus on the most is probably what 99% of us need. Okay. Which is mindset, health, and overall well-being, basically. But before we get into all the bolts and nuts, who is Patrick Precourt, man? Where do you come from? Where do you grow up? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I don't know how far you want to go back, but
Go back as far as you can, brother. We got all day.
I grew up in the streets of Hartford. No, we're not going to go.
Hartford, Connecticut.
I did grow up in Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, when I was very young. But so let's pick up somewhere in high. So always been in real estate. Started out as a carpenter working for a builder when I was in high school, and then moved into framing. And then in college, that's how I financed all of our playing. We had a framing company in college. That's pretty much why I never went to class. We went framed houses all day long, and then played rugby when we got home from that afternoon. And 4 years later, I walked out of college without a degree, but had an amazing time, and I would not do it any other way. Got into real estate in the late 90s, and that was not by intention at all, Ricardo. My family had a family home inspection business, so got out of college, framing, playing rugby, competitive rugby, and blew out my ACL. Didn't have any insurance. Couldn't get it fixed right away. Therefore, couldn't frame houses either. Had to switch jobs. Went and got trained in home inspections. Started working for my folks, doing home inspections. Really cool, Then about a year later, I did get my knee repaired, but I continued my home inspection career. I worked with them for about a better part of 10 years, inspected close to 1,500 homes in that time. And that gave me such an invaluable, irreplaceable knowledge in real estate, But what happened in there, probably the most important part, was I started doing inspections for an investor and then another investor. And then I got to become friends with them and, started just talking this through and realized that, I'm definitely on the wrong end of this one, Yeah, they're paying us $400 for a home inspection, but they're making a fortune, relatively speaking, in the space of real estate investment. So I got into real estate investment. And the first deal we did, the very first deal we did, turned out to be a short sale. No, I take that back. That was the first flip we did. One prior to that stepped in. There was a big gap between the two. That's why I kind of separate them. First deal we did was a lease option, and that I ended up wholesaling to a good friend of mine. I didn't know what wholesaling meant or any of that kind of crap, and I think we didn't use those words back then. We just didn't, right? But I wholesaled the lease option. It was a great house at a great price with great terms, and he needed a house to live in. I said, well, man, I don't know, man, maybe give me $5,000 and I'll give the whole thing to you. And that's how it happened. So that was the first deal. Second deal, we decided we get into our first flip because I knew so much about houses, and the investor friends that I was, doing home inspections for were kind of guiding me. We got into this first deal, little house. When we went to the closing, and there wasn't. So this is. They call it late 90s, maybe 2000, 99, 2000. There wasn't enough money at the closing table. It was shy. It wasn't a lot, say $3,000 short. At the closing table, the attorneys, we closed with attorneys in Connecticut, called up the customer service of the lender and got a short sale approved in about, 20 minutes.
Wow.
And that's before we knew what a short sale was. I still didn't know when I left there what had just happened. I just know we're new owners of this property. No idea what just happened.
And you didn't have to come up with another $3,000.
Because we had a contract price, they had a sales price, and so the seller had to perform. And it was this little old lady, and there wasn't enough money, and the attorney just got it removed. But that got after I dove back into that, got my wheels turning. That's what launched the next 12 years of our investment career, where we did nothing but short sales, debt negotiation. Started out locally, then started working with other investors. We got really good at it. Started bringing it nationwide. Then started doing the education side and got me into the educational world. We're doing this back in like 2005. We're doing seminars on how to do short sales. Craziest thing in the world, you know. And then from there, we got involved with another local company. They were local at the time that set up camp about a half an hour south of us. They started doing real estate investment in the buy, fix, and flip side. While we're focusing on short sales, we partnered up pretty well because they had a football. Actually, they're all three of them were football players, and my partner was a hockey player, and I was a rugby player. So we had a good sports connection, you know. And then that led to them getting a HGTV show, one of the first Flip This House type shows. Again, mid 2000s. And they came to us one morning and said, "Hey guys, you already have a coaching program. You coach people on short sales. What do you think about combining forces and you coach everybody on everything?" I'm like, "Well, we know how to do everything." I'm like, "Sure." And that's how one of the largest real estate education companies, real estate investment education companies in the U.S. got started. That's simple discussion over coffee one morning, you know, and that went on for a number of years. So
I think Patrick's connection is cutting off. Let me
in
see.
2013-ish, I retired.
Yeah, I think your connection is breaking up, Patrick. For some reason, it's lagging. So, that's the thing about doing these things live. You know, it's the internet sometimes decides to act up on us.
Yep. You got me now?
Yeah, I think we're back. I mean, you've always been back. It's just that it's lagging for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Well, it's just so.
But anyhow, you stopped at. I lost you when you told me about the biggest real estate education company coming into play.
Yeah. So we and so I was one of the founding members of this big real estate education platform. But my responsibility was all of the coaching. Okay.
Fulfillment.
Marketing or sales, what we did. And therefore, I took a particular interest in the success of our clients, of our students. And I mean, I'll just be honest with you, and I think most people get this, right? Not percentage-wise, in the real estate investment education space, not a lot of students, clients are successful. That's a reality, Ricardo. Okay.
Yes.
And our and I'm not just blowing our own horn, but our content was really, really good. It was dialed in. And as you know, real estate investment's not that hard anyway. So it's not hard to be able to tell somebody how to do this properly. But yet so few were being, we're getting the success they really, really, really wanted. So I spent more and more time trying to figure out that. How do I get more people successful? And it got so enlightening to me and important to me that I retired from the real estate education space to focus exclusively on the personal development space. How do we close the gap between where you are and where you want to go? When you know what to do, you know how to do it, you deeply desire the results, but you can't freaking get there. I don't care if it's in your physical health, your wellness, your wealth, your relationships, and we do a lot of work in that space now too. Doesn't matter, right? The fundamentals of human behavior are predictable, they're reliable, and they're ruthlessly simple, but we tend to overcomplicate it, right? So it got me to deep dive in that, and I spent since 2013. About 95% of my focus and energies have been in there. Now, in 2012, I'll throw this in there. We opened a gym, happenstance. So after I played rugby for 17 years, the last 6 years of that were International is physically demanding, beat the crap out of ourselves. And I ended up with a series of bad concussion. The last one, doctor said, Pat, you do this again, you're probably going to be a vegetable the rest of your life. The last one was tough, Ricardo. Like, I mean, I had a like amnesia type symptoms for over a year coming out of that. And it was scary. Like, it was, and that, frankly, it's weird how, the dots connect. That pushed me into a study on how to heal my brain too. And it got me deeply involved in understanding the neurology of the brain and how the neurology crosses over with biology, and even understanding chemistry, what we put in our bodies, how it can heal our brain. And that stuff contributes to human behavior. Now, I'll slip this in real quick for you all, right? Think about this for a second, right? If I said, hey, does the way you feel affect the way you think? What would you say?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah. Right?
100%.
The way you think contribute to your decision making. I'm asking you obvious questions, right? And does your decision making account for the actions you take and therefore the results you get? And the answer 100%. Is across the board. Yes. So
it's all yes, and it works backwards as well.
Oh yeah.
Right? The way you think, or the way you think, you end up feeling, right?
So this is where that happens. So let's focus on the literal word feel, the literal meaning of it, right? So feeling, when every single thought that a human has an emotion connected to it in the subconscious, just hiding, waiting, idle. Remember, subconscious is all-knowing, remembers every aspect of everything we've ever done in our entire life, forgets nothing, okay? So every thought has an emotion sitting in the subconscious. When we think the thought, like you said, that thought will pull up the emotion. Some will call it a trigger, right? We'll trigger the emotion. And the moment we become conscious of the emotion, we feel it. And we feel it because every emotion is expressed in a chemical response in our body. The hormones and the neurotransmitters that are produced in the emotion, that's what we're actually feeling. So we're literally feeling what we're thinking. And to your point, a thought can trigger an emotion into a feeling, and a feeling can drive a thought. It goes both ways. Follow me on this?
100%.
So now go back to where I was in my career, where on one hand, I'm trying to figure out from a behavioral standpoint, and this is diving deep into behavioral science, right? Human behavioral science, why people do and don't do what they want to do, right? And on the other hand, trying to understand the neurology and the biology as to how that affects to everything that you put in your mouth, whether it be caffeine or sugar or clean piece of meat, changes the chemistry of our body, which means it changes the way we feel. And we already agreed that that feeling is responsible for, connected to the results we get in life. Pretty powerful. Makes you look a little differently at the food that you stuff in your mouth, or the drinks that you drink, or whatever it may be. All right, so let's get back on here. So all those intersect. We opened up a gym in 2012. It's called The Cage Lifestyle Fitness Center, with the heart and culture of our fighting arts, right? We focus on MMA and jiu-jitsu, but we do Muay Thai and wrestling and boxing and all that kind of stuff, right? And that was just a function of the gym I was in, ran into trouble, closed down. My coach had nowhere to go. We had about 30 of us. And I'm like, oh, dude, why don't we just open a little gym? And it turned out to be a 15,000 square foot center. Really, really cool, you know? But in there, this is where, again, not my plan. I wish I could tell you I intentionally did all this, but it just happened, right? It became a human laboratory, Ricardo, for testing out constructs that got people to do what they wanted. Now, look at the industry of health and fitness and weight loss, right? Multi-billion-dollar industry with the highest failure rate of all industries. Jive those two together, you know? I was cruising through something the other day, and I saw a 2-month-old Peloton bike for $200.
Wow. They sell those for like what, 3,000, something like that?
Whatever they go for, but I just laughed. I'm like, that's so symbolic, right? Somebody thought the act of buying a bike would give them the results that they seek. And And of course, it doesn't, right? So I got the gym. Now it's a human laboratory. So I'll give you we have one certain membership in our gym where we'll guarantee your results. This is an expensive membership, no doubt, but we'll guarantee your result. We'll guarantee your results because we engage. The results are not a function of your diet and your training and your workout and all that. It's about me managing and handling your decision making every day, your action, your mindset, the beliefs that are anchored behind the mindset. But there's no human behavior we can't change. And before we're done today, I'll leave everybody with a few cool little tools, like DIY tools that you can implement immediately to start kind of controlling this. And the idea being that every single human being has something they don't currently want. I think everybody would say, yeah, that's me. And that's normal because we should always be growing and changing, right? And for some of us, many of us, that thing has gotten very elusive, challenging, difficult. Some of us have even given up on it because we've tried for so long and so hard to get to it that we've lost, that it hurts more thinking about it. When it used to drive us and inspire us, now it hurts just thinking about it. So we cancel out the dream. Doesn't have to be that way. And I'm going to leave you guys with some cool tools that will start the process of change. So now you got the gym. Now it's funny because I'm in the middle of exiting the gym, selling it to my partner because it's time to go. We're almost done all that. It'll always be my baby, and all of our energies today are focused exclusively in the space of personal development. More specifically, but it doesn't sound that exciting, human behavior. Altering behavior to produce a result. So it's very result-centric. Everything we do is measurable, trackable. All the programs that I deliver have guarantees in them. Basically, you don't achieve the result, then you get back your entire investment. You're like, well, Pat, how the hell do you do that? Because the constructs are predictable and human behavior is predictable. That's why we can do that. And it's funny because anybody, Ricardo, can do this stuff. I kid you not. Now, I'll also mention this, right? Because it's really my highlight of my life is my 3 kids and my wife. I've been married over 30 years now, which is amazing, especially given all that we've gone through. You know how tough the entrepreneurial.
Congratulations, brother! 30 years is it's a lifetime,
Yeah, it goes all this. She was with me all through my traveling years of rugby, going back to playing overseas and everything. She even came over. She was 8 months pregnant with our first kid when we toured. We did England, Wales, and Ireland. But it was a big tour. It was a couple of weeks, and I was the captain of the side. So she came over. I was like, well, I can't miss his birth, and I can't be in 2 places. So she just came with me. Craziest thing in the world, But we met. We met orientation day to college. So we've known each other for a long time. And then, so my wife and my 3 kids are certainly my pride and joy, and I feel that they're my biggest accomplishment. And
not only that shows commitment, right? So 30 years married. I've been married now for 15 years, so half your time, basically. Don't get me wrong, I was divorced before. So I tried first, and
but it's hard.
Well, we got married too young, man. We were both immature. Our visions didn't align. We wanted multiple different things in life, and we just got married because honestly, I got her pregnant, and I said, you know what? I guess if you get a woman pregnant, then the next thing to do is get married, and that was completely, wrong. Like, we should have never gotten married. We should have been great friends, which by the way, we still are today.
That's awesome.
Yes. So my ex-wife and I, we get along just fine, and we have a beautiful daughter, Oriana, and because of her, I had to change my life drastically. When I was young, when I was 17, 18, 19 years old, I was very mature and very responsible. That's the correct word. All I did was party and drink, and then life brought me a daughter, and I was like, oh, what do I do with this now? Right. So it completely changed my environment and my life. But based on your 30 years of marriage, right, it shows that, to keep a marriage for 30 years, there's got to be a lot of commitment from both parties, okay, from you and your wife. And talking about New Year's resolutions, so let's compare a 30-year marriage, right? Which every day, every month, every year, both of you have to get up and water the relationship. Make sure you guys are on the same boat. Make sure you guys are on the same vision. Make sure that any disagreements that you guys may have, you have to work around them to fix them and continue to move forward, to continue to build your family. And if you relate that to today we live on the what I call the microwave society.
Mm-hmm.
We want to put everything on the microwave, which, by the way, people, microwaves are bad for you.
True.
Okay?
True story.
Microwaves are bad for you. You do not use a microwave. I have one here, and I tell my wife, don't use that. That's poison. Like, we don't want to get poisoned, right? We use a mini air fryer and a mini oven that we use things to heat things up. But what happens is that when the microwave came into the planet, basically, people got used to putting a plate on the microwave, and in 30 seconds or a minute, boom, instant results. Now we have something hot. We can eat it right away. And we got used to the instant gratification. Okay, that's how the microwave changed the world. We went from waiting, having to have patience to wait for things to happen while we work at it, into I put it on the microwave, now it comes out, and let's not talk about the phone. The phone is that's another animal, right? But for people that are maybe related to us, Patrick, that are up in age, they're in their 40s or 50s, maybe even into the 60s, they are going to understand what we're talking about when it comes to the microwave. People go on December 31st or January 1st and say, New Year's resolutions, new me. I'm going to be the new Ricardo or the new Patrick. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to diet, and let's focus for a minute in the health space, right? The mindset and the health, and which is something I'm doing, by the way. Awesome. But guess what? I am sticking to it. I said, and I went public, and I put it on my Facebook. You guys, anybody that's looking at this, you can go back to my Facebook. I put it, and I said, in between January 4th and January 26th, I will complete 10 36-hour fasts followed by 12 hours of ketogenic diet. Okay. Why? Because my body's insulin resistant. I can't lose weight. I tried all kinds of things, and I like to do it I like to get healthy on a natural way. I don't like to put things in my body. I don't like to take pills or inject things or whatnot, right? Because the medicine might be worse than the illness. And by the way, I took medical exams back in December before I did this, and everything was perfect. Cholesterol, triglycerides, and everything was in good shape. The doctor said, I don't know why you're overweight, but you're good. You are like an athlete. So I said, look, I'm gonna experiment some long-term fastings, and which, by the way, I started fasting back in 2017, 18. So this is not new to me. I've been doing OMADs, and I've been doing 72-hour fast. I've actually done 7 days, but I've been listening to Dr. Pels. I don't know if you know her, Patrick, but she's amazing. And she had this 36-hour fast, and she tells exactly how to do it. So anyhow, I'm on my 5th fast right now. On my 5th, so I'm halfway through the cycle. Today, I actually get to eat today. So I broke my fast this morning with some eggs and bacon, and later on I'm gonna go out with the family and have lunch and all that. But it's the commitment that people break on themselves. Can you explain to me in very simple words the relationship in between your 30-year commitment as a married man and people not following through with what they say they're going to do when it comes to New Year's resolutions?
Yeah. So I'll start with this, right? And So this first comment relates to people who achieved their goal and then boomerang right back to where they were. But it's an important one as it relates to marriage, right? As kids, we set a goal: we're going to get married. Well, what happens when you get married? Where's the driver? If the goal was to get married, if the goal is to lose 30 pounds, you're all in, you're committed, dedicated, focused, hardworking, all that kind of stuff. You lose 30 pounds, then the drive of the goal is removed. Now what? So we set goals for the in the wrong context to begin with. So a weight loss goal should never be a weight loss goal. It should be a commitment to a lifestyle of fitness with a certain weight as a measuring point. That's it. That when we hit, 30 pounds less, then we're going to stabilize out. And this is how we're going to go, this is our next to fitness, not losing 30 pounds or 20 pounds. Because once you lose that drive goes away. And marriage, very similar. Our goal was never to get married. Our goal is to spend the rest of our lives together. Marriage is a component of that, right? It's a measuring. Man, we got married, but as anybody who's been married, you realize that your actual date of marriage, the marriage itself, was, relatively speaking, one of the more insignificant days of your entire marriage. There's a lot more significant, pivotal things that happen in your life together that far outweigh the day you finally said, "Hey, all right, we're now committing to the end," because you've already made that commitment anyways. When you got engaged, right?
Right.
And you're already in love and all that kind of stuff. So it's the day of marriage is a formality, right? But let's talk about really, really goes south, right? People set goals all the time, and I'm an advocate of goals if they're done the right way. I'm not an advocate of the guru, the big, hairy, audacious goal, and here's why. And this is something that when it comes to human behavior and mindset is a really important understanding for us, right? When you set a goal that's big and hairy and audacious, like let's say you're used to making $75,000 a year and your big, hairy, audacious goal is, I'm going to make $1 million next year. Well, that's fantastic. And that's great. Throw that out on their social media. That's awesome. But here's the thing. The fact that you genuinely don't believe it can happen will forever prevent it from happening. Okay. We can't outperform our belief system. This is important for everyone. So everybody says, you probably noticed this too, Ricardo, like in the last, not that long ago, right? Everybody's become a mindset guru. And every day there's new memes about mindset and this general thought that, hey, if you just fix your mindset, you fix everything. But here's the thing. And look at the word literally, mindset. Your mind is set. You can't change your mind. Some will say, "Oh, what do you mean? That's pissing me off." Well, hear me out here, right? Your mind. So when Ford said, "Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're correct." And somebody said, "No, I can't do that." No, you got a shitty mindset. No, you got a shitty belief set. So if we want to change what's on the outside, we got to change what's on the inside. We can't inside your car, okay? And if we have beliefs that are in the way of performance, we're done, right? So an example, there was a guy that came into the gym. This is some time ago. So the details won't be perfect, right? But basically, he wanted to run a 5K, okay? Now, he was about 320 pounds. He's 40 years old. He hasn't done anything since his 20s. But he really, really, really wants to support his wife and his charity she's doing, right? And the trainers in the gym in the first week realized that this is a problem, The guy, he's not set up for success. They asked me if I'd talk to him. And so I asked him a really, really important question. After I asked his goals and why and all that kind of stuff, we get through all that kind of surface level stuff. I said, "Listen, man," we'll call him Jim. I don't remember his name, but hey, Jim, I got to ask you a really important question. This one will make or break your success. So you have to be honest. There's no wrong answer. There's only an honest or a dishonest answer. Do you actually believe, after doing nothing for the past 20 years, being a solid 80, 100 pounds overweight, right? That in the next, I forget our time, call it, maybe we had 6 weeks, I forget, maybe 2 months. In the next 2 months, you think you're actually going to be able to run a 5K? I mean, let's just be honest with each other. Because no way, Pat. But I got to try. Dead in the water. And you guys got to appreciate this right here. You're trying ain't worth shit if you don't believe you can succeed. Okay? You're dead in the water. As was he. Said, all right, I appreciate you being honest with me. Now, I'm not giving up on you. And I'm not making any promises to you. But I know that I got certain tools that can change your results. Are you at least willing to try my way? And then right away, Pat, I've tried everything. You know, and how many times have you heard that? Tried everything, nothing works, right? I said, I understand that, but you haven't tried my way. So what I did, knowing that he's got a fundamental belief that's inhibiting him from ever performing here, I had to focus on the belief. Now, here's the thing that we all have to appreciate as adults, right? That our belief system is pretty set, because our beliefs represent who we are, our self-image. When we look in the mirror and that person looks back at us, that's everything we believe in life right there. Okay. And therefore, we don't change our beliefs readily. As a matter of fact, if I asked you, Ricardo, to believe something totally different, your ego would step up right away and start defending why your belief is right and why mine is wrong. And that's one of the kind of like the inhibiting limitations of ego. It doesn't even give us a chance. Even if we think we're being open-minded, doesn't even give us a chance in the world to be open-minded to something new, because subconsciously we know that if you're right and I'm wrong, then I must be wrong. It's just overwhelming. So our ego.
Yeah, I think Patrick is cutting off again. It's okay. Whenever he's back,
Protects us. Don't
yeah,
worry, got you.
your internet is
you're
acting up again. So
perfectly fine with the same back.
it's okay, man. It's no big deal. We live in a time where everybody knows that internet is we're doing these things remotely, and I understand now. Well, for everybody that's watching this live, I know we have some people popping in and out. Put on the comments below where you're connecting from. I love these comments, Patrick. We got somebody put that is deep what you're talking about. Cindy says, thank you for sharing your time and information, Ricardo and Patrick Precourt. Someone else says, I can't see the name. That's why I can't say the name. Gems, a weight loss goal should never be a weight loss goal. You should have committed life of fitness with weight goal in mind. So, yes, keep putting the comments below. We love this. We love to get the feedback, because that way we know we're getting the message across, and that you guys are paying attention to what we're saying. So, not to cut you off, but let's re-engage on where you were, Patrick. When it came to the limiting beliefs, right? Yeah.
So Jim doesn't believe he can do it. He's got a limiting belief, and this is where that word limiting belief comes in. It's an overplayed word, I get it, but I want you guys to look at the structural side of it, right? We all have limiting beliefs, which another way of looking at that is not that they were wrong, we've outgrown them. Let's just appreciate that. We don't have to label them, just to say there's certain beliefs in our lives we've outgrown. Fair enough. But we can't get past them without changing them. And we've already established we don't readily change our beliefs as adults. This is how you do it, okay? If I want to change a belief of yours, Ricardo, I've got to show you new evidence, new facts supporting a new belief. So what I did with Jim, I said, Jim, week number 1, brother, let's get going. All I want you to do every morning, and I added some parameters to it because there's a psychology behind it. Every morning, 5:30, I need you to walk 1 mile for the next 7 days. Can I at least get you commit to that? I'm not asking you to run anything. 1 mile each morning at 5:30. Yes or no? He goes, yes. I said, listen, I'm believing in you. You believe in me. And let's at least be man to man on this and know that we can each stand behind our word. So I'm leveling up our relationship here. So that he doesn't believe in the outcome yet, but he's believing in me, which matters. Okay. So week later, and he's called me and he had to report in after the walk. He's got it done. Now, what does that establish? And a lot of us have got to appreciate this one little point. This is the first time in 20 years that he said he was going to like commit to a physical something, and he actually did it. All the other times he didn't, which means he lost faith in the fact that he could even commit to something, Ricardo.
Yeah.
And I talked through that. I say, see, Jim, you can actually do what you say you're going to do. He goes, you're right. And then I slowly built that up the next 2 or 3 weeks, right? And I finally, so what I'm doing, I'll give you the analogy. Is you have a ladder. At the top of the ladder is the outcome you want. But now we put on rungs on the ladder. And we only focus at the next rung. And each rung is there to get us to the next rung. But if we're down here and we're looking up through the clouds, because our ladder goes through the clouds, we can't even see the goal. It's not even believable to us. But if I say, listen, man, can you reach the next rung? That's all I was asking of Jim. And we got about 3 weeks into this thing. And I asked him, and this is a powerful, like, coming to Jesus moment. Jim, do you think it's at least possible that we pull this off? And he goes, for the first time, I'll be honest with you, Pat, and I didn't even know if I should be believing this stuff at the beginning or not, but I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to feel it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but for the first time ever, I think it's possible. And that's all the human soul needs. It needs no guarantees. We need just a slightest opening that it's possible. And that's where we can run wild. But if we're not there, we have to earn that right to be there. And we need evidence to support the new beliefs to get us there. Does that make sense? We can't
Absolutely.
just change our mind. Got it?
It's the small wins, right? The stack up a bunch of small wins. That way, our belief system is changed. And like it's like me this week. Okay, I'm on this fasting. 10 fast for 36 hours the whole month of January. The first week, I got rid of a lot of water retention, right? So I go on the scale and I said, okay, I lost a couple of pounds. That was water because when you get up in the evening to go to the bathroom 5 times, you're just getting rid of all the excess liquid that you have. And then the following fast, I get up again and I went from, and I measure myself in kilos. I don't know why my weight scale is set that way. And I cannot change it to pounds for some reason. Because I guess I bought it with a watch I had and I lost the watch and now the weight scale is on kilos. So I go, when I started, I was 139 point something kilos. And today I was at 134. Nice. So just in a matter of 10 days, I have lost 5 solid kilos. Okay. Now, a kilo is 2.5 pounds. Mm-hmm. That's almost 12, 13 pounds of fat because I've been on keto also. So I've been burning fast even when I'm eating, right? But what I did is I measure every single time. I noticed that the weight scale continue to move and continue to move and continue to move. And I said, wow, what I'm doing is working. And these are small wins because I really want to get back in shape to where, maybe I'm at 220 pounds. That's a good weight for me. Anything less than that, I feel like I'm too skinny and I don't like it. But I got to get there. I'm long ways. I'm like 70 pounds away from that, right? So, but what I did is I stacked up a bunch of small wins. I'm stacking up right now a bunch of small wins to get me to my ultimate goal. And I'm like, okay, what I'm doing is working. Number one, I'm enjoying it. Number 2, I don't feel hungry. Number 3, and I'm getting more energy to actually get up and go to the gym and do the things that I like doing. I like lifting weights. I like, exercising. I like playing basketball, although right now I wouldn't play basketball because it's too hard on my knees. But I'm stacking up small wins, which is basically related to what you're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm. So let me throw like a little twist into this, right? So when I work with clients that want to change, they want a result, and let's just appreciate that the results we seek require a change in habits.
Yes.
Everything you want is on the other side of altering a habit. Now we haven't brought up that word.
Look, guys, listen to what Patrick just dropped a huge bomb here. This is the gem from this podcast. The results we seek requires what?
Changing habits.
Changing habits.
Period. Habit, a consistent behavior driven out of our subconscious, doesn't require our conscious mind. Okay? We just do it. All right. Now, the habits. All right. Everything the gap between where you are and where you're at is covered by altering habits to produce those results. Now, if consistent behavior is the goal, which it is, in the first couple months when I work with someone, Ricardo, I don't focus on the actual result, the weight loss, the increase in revenue, the bettering of the relationship. I focus on the behaviors necessary to produce those results, all the way down to creating personalized daily KPI trackers that track behavior, not results. And this is how we end up stacking wins from day one. Now, we'll go back to health for a second, just because it's easy. The goal is lifestyle fitness measured by a certain amount of weight loss. In your case, it's a combination of diet, body movement, the way you eat your food through ketosis and fasting and so forth. Good. Those are all behaviors, and each behavior has a daily regimen to it, right? So at the end of the day, we look at our chart. We say, did I execute the behaviors? If I did, home run, win. That's our win. It has nothing to do with the scale. Scale doesn't even matter, because we know that when we consistently execute the behaviors, the results are automatic. They're going to happen.
I tell you what, Patrick, and I'm going to hold you up on that. On this Thursday, this past Thursday, I went to a networking event here in Houston, real estate. It's been a while since I put myself out there in the local scene, because I've been networking with guys like you all over the nation, right? And so I went to see my friend AC Ramos and Andrea Cruz. Shout out to them. They had an event in Houston, and
guys.
Beautiful venue, man. Beautiful place, amazing venue, a lot of people. So for them, the event was a success. But one of the things that I usually do when I go to one of these networking events is drink. Why? Because we socialize, right? We have a few drinks with the people, we connect and all that. And on my way there, I said, okay, I was actually fasting that day. I said, I am fasting right now. I am not going to touch any type of drink, because I don't want to break what I've worked on for the last 10 days. And that's going to be also a test to me that I can endure character, and I can go there, do my business, do what I have to do without having to consume alcohol, which I love alcohol, by the way. Like I love drinking and having fun with like having a scotch and things like that with people. We do it at the family mastermind all the time. I'm not talking about you, Patrick, but the people around in the family mastermind. And I went there the whole night. I shook hands, got pictures, we recorded videos, we did a bunch of things. I sat at the bar while my friends are having all drinks, and they're buying me drinks. Like, Ricardo, what do you want to drink? And I'm like, I just want a bottle of water, and they're looking at me like, why water? And I was like, I'm fasting right now. This is what I'm doing. And I explained to them, right? And they're like, oh, cool. No problems. We're not going to offer you anymore. So I drink my water. At the end of the night, I left home and I was proud of myself. Why? Because I contained myself from falling off and indulging in alcohol and, having a good time or what. I had a great time without alcohol, right? Which is something I need to learn how to do, which is how can I have a good time without having to have alcohol every single time I go to one of these events? And when I got home at 9 p.m. I was home early. I got to see my kids, my wife. I was proud of myself because when I got here, I didn't smell like beer or scotch or rum or whatever. And of course, drinking and driving and all. So I think about all these things. But most importantly, that was a win for me that day. And when I sat down in this desk, as soon as I got in, I have like you said, I have a bunch of actionable items every day. I checked that one off. Boom. I went out to the networking event. I didn't drink, and it's a win. And I started stacking up all the little wins throughout the day. Didn't eat any sugar. Didn't, eat any food. Last night, honestly, Patrick, I got hungry. And it was around 10 p.m. And I said, man, I'm hungry. And I know I got a bunch of cheese and things in the fridge that I can go and put in my mouth to. And I said, you know what? If I break the fast 12 hours before I'm supposed to, I'm not honoring my commitment. I'm not honoring myself. I'm not honoring everybody that I told that I was going to do this. I'm breaking my word. And I want to ask you a question about this. What do you think about the people that say how you do one thing is how you do everything?
So every guru quote needs context. Okay. None of these are binary, like yes or no. They're on a continuum, and I could share a bunch of others like, fearless and, failure is never an option, all that kind of stuff. So the context, so how you do one thing is how you do anything. Now, generally speaking, there's some value to that, right? That if you commit to doing something, you're going to do it all the way every single time. That's how you do one thing is how you do everything. But you know what? Not everything comes out that way. Not everything I do I want to do 100%. Sometimes I want to be a lazy bum and a sheep and follow someone else and make no decisions and do a half-ass effort because that's my level of commitment to whatever we're doing. That's all, right? Other times I'm the captain of the ship. And things are going to be regimented and black and white in the way I want them done. And because that's, the captain's responsible for everything, right? So I think it definitely requires context. Generally speaking, do I like the quote? I do. They have a certain operating MO in life, right? But it just doesn't apply to all areas of life. Like, I don't know, man, you're going to cut the lawn with the same intensity that you squat? Not likely, you're going to do the laundry with the same intensity that you take into your relationship? Probably not, so it doesn't apply across the board.
I had this conversation with my great friend, Carlos. Carlos lives in Medellin, Colombia, and I had the pleasure of visiting him last year. He's a real estate investor. He lives out there. He works from Colombia now. And he had his son, Didi, working with him. And he was pushing that quote onto his son like, you have no idea, right? Because he wants his son to excel. And his son is actually a beast, man. This kid is 15 years old and he's putting properties on their contract and selling them. And but at the same time, he's 15 years old. He's playing basketball. He's actually very good at playing basketball. And he's exploring life at that age, right? And my friend was a little frustrated because sometimes his son put other priorities ahead of the business itself. And he asked me one day, and he said, Ricardo, isn't it true that how you do one thing, you do everything? And that's why I brought this up, and I wanted to talk to you about this. And I said, it depends. Why do you mean? Like, where are you going with this? And he says, well, I continue to talk to Daniel. Daniel is his son. And I want him to be committed. I want him to do this, and I want him to do that. And I said, okay, you're asking your 15-year-old son to put your business ahead of his priorities. Is that what you're telling me? Do you remember where you were 15 years old? Was your priority your dad's business or somebody else's business? And if that was the case, did you love that business as much as you love yours? The answer is going to be no. So you can't expect a teenager, because I'm not going to call him a kid. He's not a kid anymore.
Mhm.
To do that across the board. He wants to enjoy himself. He wants to be a teenager. He wants to date girls. He wants to go to the movies, and not make the calls he's supposed to do to make deals, to close on deals.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the level of responsibilities that you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why are we going to generalize that quote to everybody? It doesn't work that way. For him, that does not apply.
Right. Yeah.
Now, he's a basketball player and he wants to go to the NBA. Perfect.
I see.
On that case, that applies. Because to get in the NBA, man, that's the 0.001% of the planet gets there. And this is how we had that conversation. How you do one thing is how you do everything, right? Now, do you want to strive for that? Of course, you want to strive for perfection, for being across the board, the best you can. So, based on your experience, Patrick, what are some good tools that you can share with the audience that they can hold themselves accountable? They can create actionable steps. Tell me a little bit about the tools that you recommend people to operate under.
Yeah. So look at these as constructs that can be applied as you need them, right? So, and I'll go through them quickly because I know we've already been at this a bit here, right? One is starting with a personal code and a family code. And without getting into the process of creating it right now, I'll just share with you guys the idea that a code is like the constitution of a country. It's the non-negotiables. It's what protects you through the process. So in life, Ricardo, when we come up with a personal code, right, how we're going to operate our lives, and which we create in what I call a sane environment, meaning a non-emotionally charged environment. When we are in an emotionally charged environment, we'll make the right decision because the decisions have already been made in advance, right? Let's just say you're, like I come from a fighting world. Well, rugby's not fighting. We fight a lot in rugby, and
right,
and I got in a cage.
It's a very tough sport too.
Yeah, and I got an MMA cage fighting and fought my first fight when I was 42. So I genuinely like to fight, right? However, part of my code is I will never let that. I will never put my family at risk because of that. So somebody challenges me or somebody's an asshole, and this happens all the time in life, it seems, right?
Yeah.
You mind your own business, and there's always someone that wants to be tougher than you, right? That decision's already made. I don't have to worry about it. Even if he insults and threatens, and I'm like, I'm walking away because it can never come out good. That's just the point of that. So start with a personal code, the things that matter, the non-negotiables. It's how you run on your personal life. Then you move on to the family. What are the non-negotiables in the family? Things that you will not defy. For a guy, it best be, I won't fucking cheat on my wife. If
right. For instance, point, for you, a non-negotiable is you're not going to get into a fight while your family's present.
Right.
Non-negotiable. Or I'm not going to cheat on my wife, right? Like I'm not going to be a cheater or on my business partner. There's no difference there.
So an example, and I'm not, listen, everybody's relationship is different. So this is not a judgmental thing, this piece of my code, but in 30 years of marriage, and we've been together since we're 18, never once have I called my wife a swear, a name like bitch or anything like that, ever. Arguing, not arguing, ever. Never once. Because part of the code that I won't intentionally try to inflict harm on the one that I love the most. It ain't happening. We won't always see eye to eye, and sometimes it'll take a few days to get through some of the stuff we're at. Fine. But we're not going to attack each other that way. right? And dude, in 30 years of marriage, I've never called her a name. You know,
You know what? Me neither, Patrick. I learned long time ago to say yes, honey. And the other one is I apologize.
yeah,
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, or I apologize, or, there are so many ways to keep a relationship in good terms. I don't, I don't think I've ever had a horrible argument with my wife to where I thought we were going to strangle each other. Okay. I don't think we ever have. Have we had arguments? Of course we had. Like every relationship we have arguments. But she actually called my attention last night. And she said, "Look at what you did here." And she's just literally on my case. She's like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, "I'm sorry. I'll fix it." And I fixed it right away. And I put the thing where I was supposed to put it. I left something out of place. That's what happened. And she called me out and she's like, "Dude, why are you leaving this thing here? You're not supposed to do that. That goes there." And I was like, "I'm sorry. I apologize.
oh, that's funny.
I love you." That's it. And one day I remember she came to me and she was complaining about something. And I don't remember the exact reason why. And all I said is, "You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. And I love you." And I grabbed her and I hugged her.
Mm-hmm.
And I can feel her body just going from being tense because she wanted to really kill me at that time, to like, and then she says, "I love you too." And that was it. That was the end of the argument, So, and for some men, that's so hard to do, Patrick.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, ego and all this other stuff to get in the way, for a lot of guys, that's a maturity issue for guys. Again, I'm not saying that in a judgmental way because I'd be lying if I said I was that mature when I got married. I wasn't.
Me neither.
Yeah, you grow up in time over that kind of stuff. All right. So number one is creating a code for you personally and for the family. These are things that are non-negotiable that frame your family, frame you as a human being that cannot be broken. It's like every company has like core values, which are cute and adorable. You usually don't make it past the wall they're hanging on. But this would be the behavior that enforces those beliefs. Core values are supposed to be a set of beliefs, right? But this would be the behavior that actually backs that up. That's what a code does, right? So a next tool, and everybody's heard this, right? But I call it the be, do, have tool, right? In order to have something you don't currently have, we've got to do stuff we're not currently doing. That's the consistent behavior, the new habits, which means we have to, and it has to happen in this order. But there's a special another piece of this that nobody talks about. So we have to become in order to consistently do in order to have, right? And the have is a result of the consistent behavior, and the behavior is a result of you having become, change your belief systems, et cetera, et cetera. Well, in order to become, that's preceded by doing as well, okay? Because like I said, you can't change a behavior, or rather a belief, without new evidence and new results, which means we got to start somewhere. But so picture be, do, have, but underneath that is a certain set of execution that has to happen, of doing. But that requires a brutal, bully effort. And this is where we got to adjust our mind. So you know what? For the next month, everything that I said I got to do after I become, I got to do now. And it's going to suck. My ego is going to fight it. My habit's going to fight it. My inner desires and fears and worries and concerns are all going to fight it. And I got to bully over top of it anyways. And I'll give you a solution to that in a moment. But this is where we have to set ourselves up and say, no, these first 2 weeks are going to suck. But what will happen in 2 weeks, once we've tracked the consistent behaviors, we're going to start seeing new evidence and new results that did not exist before. And it's going to mitigate a lot of that discomfort because it's going to be reshaping our beliefs. We're now starting the becoming process so we can do more consistently, so we can have anything we want in this world. I can't express how brutally predictable the process is, Ricardo, once we commit to it. It works every time. It works to the degree that I can back all the work I do with clients 100%. I mean, if you don't get that, you can have your investment in our relationship back. Like, it's that that reliable. Now, let me add, right, this other little piece to it. So that's the be do have, but it requires a bully effort of doing first. We can't skip that. That's our runway, right? So if you want to fly, you better build up a little speed first, right? Get that plane off the ground. So there's a process, right? 5 steps. And if you guys got a pen and pencil, write this down. So this is what I call, this is how we create sustained personal development, right? And that's the becoming. This is anything you want is on the other side of you becoming someone different. Appreciate that. Everything you want is past you becoming someone different than you are now. Okay. And if we're unwilling to do that, nothing will change. Nothing can change. So number 1, we have to become aware. We have to create an awareness around what it is that we genuinely want to change. We got to get we got to get this part right. Do you really want to lose 30 pounds? No one, like, losing 30 pounds, and no one wants to lose 30 pounds. They want the results of having lost 30 pounds in who they have become as a human being. They want to look in the mirror and be proud of that man or woman looking back at them. They want their kids to be like, wow, you're freaking impressive, Dad. That's what they want. So we got to create an awareness around the want, right? And that's number 1. Number 2, and these roll right into each other, is we have to desire the change. We can't just put an artificial monetary goal out there as a New Year's resolution. Money has no meaning, has zero meaning. It means something different to every human soul. To you, Ricardo said, Ricardo, what if I change your passive monthly income by $1,000 a month? That's probably not going to change your life much. But to somebody, right, who makes nothing as it is, it works for $14 an hour, if they got $1,000 in passive income that pay their monthly rent, that would be a life changer for them. So money means something different to every human being. And when we put a monetary goal out there, it's worthless, right? So this is where we got to really start to desire the change, know what the change means to us. And this is where we bring in meaning, okay? We have to have meaning. That's the fuel for the fight. And you will have to fight. Prep yourself. Anything you want is on the other side of a lot of resistance. That's life. You will have to fight. And if you do not have the tools and the fuel to fight, you'll give up. If it doesn't mean enough to you, you will give up. And when it does mean enough, there is nothing that will stop you from getting through that fight. Nothing. And you're in control of that. You got to stop asking, stop like setting ridiculous goals that are around money and start setting them around lifestyle and what that means to you. What's it like to know that you can retire your wife, get her help at home in terms of taking care of the house. She gets to enjoy the kids more, you more, vacation more. She gets to go now pursue a career that she wanted in the first place, but got sucked into this other one. What does that mean to you as a provider? Now, money's immeasurable, no doubt. But add meaning. So that's number 2. Number 1 is become aware of the change you want. Number 2 is desire the change. Add meaning to it. Number 3, and this is usually not the problem, Ricardo. This is the one that we usually have taken care of, is learn the skills, right? Know what it is. Know how to do what it is you got to do. And if you don't have those skills, go get them. They're not hard. Information, knowledge is the easiest, most readily available asset to us, in more so than it's ever been in history, especially with the way, open AI and so forth right now. It's just everything we want is there. So that's never the hang up. We think it is. I must need more knowledge. No, you need more implementation. You need more consistent behavior in alignment with the results you want. A little knowledge consistently applied over time creates massive. You have the knowledge, take the action. Did I lose you again, Ricardo?
Yeah, but you're back.
Okay. Yeah. The 4th step is you got to actually apply the action. This is where Rubber meets the road. You got to do it. You can't, you ordered the book, you did this podcast, you studied Alex Hormozy for the past year. You did a lot of stuff. You're like, oh, I feel good. No, you shouldn't feel good about anything because you haven't done anything yet. You're still on the runway. You got to now do the work, right? Now is where the rubber meets the road. A lot of people think that by simply getting a gym membership, that somehow that changes their lives. It doesn't. Someone thinks by going to a 3-day boot camp or seminar that was the work. No, that's the runway. That's the freaking runway. You still got to take off and do the work. And now here's the ace in hole number 5. Even when you understand the tools, how to use them, how to apply, I'm going to give you another special tool in a moment too. Even once you know how to use these tools and apply them on a regular basis, right? We still are imperfect, and that's it's human to be imperfect. It's inhuman to be perfect. Okay, so just appreciate that. It's inhuman to be perfect, which means that we'll make mistakes. That whole guru failure is not an option is such bullshit. I don't know about you, Ricardo, but I failed more times than I've succeeded, and the lessons I've gotten in life that mattered came from my failures. Right?
All of them. Like every time I have become a new person, is because I had to reinvent myself due to a setback. So, and this is a great point, Patrick. For most of us, okay, that are maybe over 35 years old and up, we were conditioned to be punished by failure.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Because of school. That's how the school system works.
Yep.
Okay, Patrick, you didn't pass the class. Boom, you're punished. And I grew up in Venezuela. That was even worse. Like, and I remember back then when I was in like elementary school, teachers will hit you with a ruler. Like if you messed up, the ruler, bam, right? So right away, you're like, okay, failing is bad. That's what it meant, or not completing the task or what. And so many millions of people now are afraid of failing because of that, because education, because of what they learned when they were young.
Yeah. And we could get in deep dive in education, the failures of education, which I don't think would value everybody right now, but you're 100% right. And our education system are still broken to this day. Fundamentally, they're flawed.
It gets worse. I don't think it gets better.
Right. It gets worse when it gets better. Agreed. Yeah. So, but failure is the shortest path to success, in my opinion. The unwillingness to fail will inevitably guarantee the one thing you don't want, which is the ultimate failure, right? When it all comes to an end. So just appreciate your unwillingness to take risk is exactly the thing that will cause you to will cause the failure that you're trying to avoid failing from.
I went to my storage unit, Patrick. I have a storage unit here, and I have some things in there, like some old vision boards and some old things that I put on my wall. And one of them was I built it from a Millionaire Mind Intensive seminar that I attended one time. Mm-hmm. And in the Millionaire Mind Intensive, this is by T. Harv Eker. They don't do them anymore like they used to. They put this arrow where you have to get a partner, and you put the arrow on your throat with the point pointing your throat, and you and your partner have to break the arrow by coming together, right? It's an amazing exercise. I love that exercise because you can see people shaking, crying, like they're so afraid that arrow is gonna puncture their throat, which is not going to happen. And then when the arrow breaks, you keep the arrow and do whatever you want. So what I did was I grabbed the arrow and I put it on a box, and I framed it basically. Like it was like a trophy for me. But they made us write an affirmation on the arrow or a quote or something along those lines. And I remember the quote until today. At that time, my thinking pattern process was afraid of failure. That's why I choose to succeed. That's why I wrote on the arrow. Okay, I was dead afraid to become a failure. Little did I know that I was gonna fail forward a lot, after what happened. Now that I look back today, I will say something completely different. I would say something like embrace failure to move forward, or fail fast and fail forward, right? But that tells you how much a person changes throughout the years through education and through being in environments like the ones you and I are part of.
Yeah.
Changing our limiting beliefs, seeing that sometimes what we think is impossible for us is actually not impossible. It's we just need to become a new you, like you talked about earlier. Is for you to achieve new things, you have to be a different person. You have to become a different person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
100%.
and by the way, guys, I wanna we've been at it for an hour and 10 minutes. This has been a great conversation. And I want to take the opportunity to invite you to attend Growth. It's going to happen in Houston in the next 3 weeks, January 26th, 27th. Patrick will be there. He actually will have an hour on stage to help us work on ourselves and in all those limiting beliefs and all those things that are holding us back, and also to become a better human being, to become better investors, to become better husbands and wives and boyfriends and girlfriends and business partners or whatnot. So you want to make sure you take the opportunity. Number one, go find Patrick in social media, follow him on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere you can find Patrick Precourt. This man is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the self-development space. And it's because he's lived through it. He had to heal himself. Like if you were listening before, he had it was an ankle, or your ankles or your knees or your legs.
Early in rugby,
yeah, playing
knees
rugby,
and
right?
ACLs. Yeah.
And then you had to heal yourself. So basically, you had to become a new you too. Like you had to fix the old you and become a new person. And so you have your evolution, and we all have evolutions. So you want to make sure you come to attend Growth. Shake Patrick's hands. Make sure you're there early both days. It's a 2-day event in Houston, Texas, January 26th, 27th. We already have 100 VIPs committed to come to the event. We're gonna put about 300 to 400 people there. And you don't want to miss an opportunity to get to meet Patrick, in person. He's coming all the way from the East Coast and
Connecticut.
Connecticut. And you want to make sure that you get to know him. I've gotten to know him during the past 2 or 3 years, and every time we talk, like we could be here for 5 hours easily, because the subject of self-development and all the things that you manage, Patrick, it's very deep. So we all need it. Okay. I would say that I practice it every day, and then sometimes I fall off. It's like you said, you wake up one day and you just don't want to get out of bed for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sleep 2 more hours more for some reason, or you don't feel like going to the gym for some reason, or you don't feel like picking up the phone and making the phone call you're supposed to for some reason, right? It's okay. But you have to have the tools that will get you back on track.
Yeah. So the 5th step speaks very loudly to that. So, so this is the 5-step process. Is become aware, right, of what it is that we're trying to get done here. Deeply desire the change by bringing in meaning. That's our fuel and our fire to fight with, right? Get learned up on it. Know the skills to execute. Take the action, right? And the last one is like our insurance here. And this is accountability, Ricardo. Now, everybody's like heard of like accountability partners and everything. And some people are like, oh, my spouse is my accountability partner. Spouses make terrible accountability partners. And here's why. They care too much about you, and they care too much about.
They don't want to see you suffer.
Boom.
They don't want to see you suffer.
Greatest lever of a good accountability partner is their ability to lever pain on you to get you to do what you want to do and to get the results that you desire. That's the relationship you should have with somebody in the space of accountability. Now, the more versed they are in understanding the psychology, behavior, and all that kind of stuff, that's all awesome. But at the end, like as an example, Ricardo, right? If you had something you want to change in your life, whatever it may be, and it took daily execution, and I said, all right, you know, Ricardo, we're just going to keep this simple. What I want 365 checks from you written out in advance, $10,000 each. And you're just going to give them to me, not to be deposited or anything. You're going to give them to me. But each day you don't perform, I take one of those checks and I deposit it.
Yeah, you associate that pain with the money.
Change your behavior. Things are going to immediately, because I just added a whole new meaning to your commitment to what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. And I could give you thousands of examples like that. It doesn't have to be money, right? Sometimes it could be humiliation. It could be a female
calling people out. Yeah.
That
I'm gonna call you out.
Picture of her in a bikini in her body. She doesn't want anybody to see. Say the second you don't show up, this goes on our social media site. Right? It could be that level of stuff. But the point, there's emotional and mental pain. The pain isn't it's applied for positive reasons. So it's a way different. It's not like somebody's trying to hurt you. But anyways, proper accountability will know how to lever pain. Let me share one more thing, and then we'll.
Yeah, no, we can share all you want, Patrick. I'm all ears here.
Humans are ruthlessly predictable when it comes to pain and pleasure, and we'll instigate change in our lives at a much greater level to avoid a pain than we will to gain a pleasure. And it's important to understand this. So a vision board is full of pleasurable things, right? That ain't motivating us to do anything hard. It just isn't. But when there's a pain, like a strong pain that's relevant now, we'll do whatever we can do to avoid it, because that's how we operate around pain. So now if you can instigate or create, artificial or not, pain in your lives, right, to alter behavior, now you're cheating the scales in the right direction. This is Ricardo. This is what we normally do with pain. This is why it ends up working against us. We're taught that pain is bad. Mental, physical, emotional, doesn't matter. So therefore, we immediately avoid it, distract it, anesthetize it. You got a headache, you take Advil. You take Advil or Tylenol, right? Whatever it may be. But we avoid pain. When in fact, in reality, pain is the greatest instructor. It's the greatest tool the universe has. Because at the moment of pain, universe steps up and said, hey, this is what you need to stop doing, and this is what you need to start doing. You should lean into pain, embrace it, wallow in it, but don't run from it. Like if you're running down the road and you twist your ankle, right? It hurts like hell. So you limp home, you sit down, you ice it, you listen to the pain in that case, right? But if you were to pull out a syringe of, say, cortisol and inject it in your ankle and immediately the pain went away, you could keep running. What happens when you keep running on a damaged ankle? It gets worse and worse and worse.
Swollen. And
this is what happens when we anesthetize or distract away from mental and emotional pain in our lives. Physical is kind of clear, right? But mental and emotional pain, when we'll cover it up, we'll convolute it, we'll hide from it, run from it, and then we'll keep doing the same stupid things that caused the pain in the first place, and it will get worse. And eventually, we'll have to confront it, but it'll be way worse. And this is how marriages burn to the ground. Instead of having the hard conversations they got to have up front, they'll avoid them. They'll drink their way over them. There's a million ways to distract from it. Then a year later, there ain't no coming back. There's been too much pain now, too much scarring. Marriage is done when it was savable at the beginning. Now, back to the pain scale, right? Here's something we have to appreciate. When the pain of staying the same on the scale finally outweighs the pain of change, we will make change. We will take action. Okay? You can't not do that. So if that tool is that predictable and reliable, which it is, then it speaks to the idea of, well, let's weigh up the pain of the behavior that we want to change. Let's make it as bad as we can. And let's, in our mind, realize that the change is not that bad, right? Stop worrying about the fearful future. And that's the only thing we fear is the unknown. So everybody says, I fear loss and failure and judgment. There's one thing only that we fear, and it's the unknown. If we knew it, we wouldn't fear it. We may not like it, but we wouldn't fear it. And when we talk about change in our future, creating something different, doing something different, it brings up a lot of fears. And we make the change 1,000 times harder than it really is, right? So let's rationalize that this ain't that bad, but let's load up the pain of staying the same so that we force ourselves into action. Does that all make sense?
Completely, 100%.
Brutally predictable. And again, bring in an accountability partner like that, and that's a big part of what we do for people. And that's your insurance on it. Their job, accountability, I don't care who it is to lever pain to get you to take actions that you want to take because you deeply desire the results of them. So it's pain applied in a positive context.
Amazing, guys. Go find Patrick Precourt. He's in Facebook. He's in Instagram. He's a coach of many, and he's got the right accountability systems, and he'll show you the systems in place for you to become the new you, which is, if you want to achieve things in life that you currently don't have, then you have to become a new person. And that's part of the work I'm doing. That's part of the work that many are doing. It's becoming a new person. Becoming the new Ricardo or even the new Patrick. If Patrick wanted to become something else tomorrow, he will have to take the actionable steps to go become that person that wants to achieve a certain goal, right? And that's why we educate ourselves. We surround ourselves with a support system. He offers a support system. We offer a support system in other areas, but feel free to check him out, man. He's an amazing guy. Come meet him at the Real Estate Entrepreneurs event in January 26th, 27th in Houston, Texas. It's coming up in 2 weeks already, 2-3 weeks. Grab your ticket. I put the link on the message below. And Patrick, one last message to our audience.
Fundamental belief of mine, because you talk about change and me changing, you changing, right? Every day you stay the same, you grow one more day obsolete. This isn't a choice. Everything's changing around us, and it's changing faster than it ever has in history. And if you're unwilling to change, things will not stay the same. You grow more obsolete. So it's necessary. Every morning, a question I ask myself today is, I wake up, say, okay, what's different? Because things are changing that fast, Ricardo. And I create a vision of what it would look like if I was the same person today, a year from now. And that ain't pretty, right? That is painful to me. So appreciate, guys and gals, every day, man. If we ain't leveling up, we ain't changing something, enhancing, getting better, letting go of something that wasn't working, right? Then we're growing obsolete. And that's how this world works.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Patrick, for being here today, guys and girls. Don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Leave us some comments. Go on the YouTube, subscribe under my name, Ricardo Rosales, and I'm looking forward to see you on the